Hey, before continuing, I have a warning. If you suddenly came across this video, it is better to warn you that the video has two parts. At the moment, we are in part 2. In the first link of the description, there's part 1 of the video for you to watch. If you have already watched part 1, then I hope you enjoyed the continuation of the security booth story. Once again, you start in an office room.
Error code 0 5 0 4 7 7. Error code.
I'm going to just nope the hell out of here and go home. It's an ordinary room, slightly different from the one you saw earlier. On the computer, there's an email from Matt Hickey, mentioning that some friends will be using the conference room all day. What's behind the door? An ordinary office room, with one of the computers unlocked. Here we have a conversation between the player character and Lisa. In the conversation, we can see that the rendering of the biocore has incorrect results. She also mentions that if the results are incorrect, it means they have more problems than Division Arc. After that, someone else enters the chat, and the rest of the messages are encrypted. The last message from the player character states that he will look into it. Unfortunately, the door is locked. What was that? Out of order. Well, here we have many notes, and most of them are irrelevant. The location is a testing room, and someone seemingly distributed a paper to everyone in the room, asking what they heard during the test and if they felt anything during it. An important point is about one of the desks that was covered in blood. The note next to this desk tells us that the person sitting there has bled from the eye and nose. Most of the notes say they heard something related to family, while some heard nothing. One note mentions it heard a crackling, like an old vinyl, and on the same note, it said that when the lights went out for a moment, I swear I saw something change in the darkness. Let's see what's on the computer. An incident report from Jay West is here, stating that of all subjects tested on the only one bled. West also recommends checking with the two subjects sitting beside the one who bled, and also says they should be seen by the higher-ups. Well, let's move to the next room. We have a presentation here about a liquid not being radioactive. The presentation highlights several reasons why the liquid isn't radioactive, and that if you're bleeding from the nose, eyes or ears, you should see a doctor within the facility. Another sound? Again? What could it be? In summary, the player character is outraged that they think the liquid isn't radioactive, and that Fee mentions she would give him a raise if he drank the liquid. Another ordinary room, with almost all computers locked. Not very important, but in short, one of the employees has been unable to contact Station Medusa for a while, and we also find out the liquid contains human DNA. Okay, what's behind the other door?
Emergency. Lock system activated. Security activated. Oxygen levels established. Your family now is supposed to be intact.
In case you don't remember, this audio was the same one heard at the end of Ending 1. Oh my... Oh my god, a shot! What was that? And it ends. What a structure. I don't have much to say, but we found out Nova Nexus is the laboratory we're working on, and that there's another company named Cerberus. Maybe. Now let's watch the last tape. In this location there are 5 phones: Medusa, Siren, Kraken, Chimera and Phoenix. Only Medusa and Kraken work. Let's see what happens when you use them. Connecting call. Connection successful. Please keep your brain inside at all times. We are at Nova Nexus, in a location that seems to have been destroyed by something. In short, Elias and Jessica from the research team collected samples from ice sculptures. They have sent them to Cerberus since they have the required equipment, and they also didn't hear back from Siren. Again, in short, Norman Hackett from the research team has been researching more about the Medusa caves and found sculptures depicting people from different eras. Call disconnected. Reason for entity detected. Well, let's move on to the next phone. Kraken. Connecting call. Connection successful. Please keep your brain inside at all times. Once more, we are in another facility of Nova Nexus. Apparently, the names of the location match the names on the phone, meaning there are 5 Nova Nexus installations. Let's skip these scenes as they are not important to the story of the security booth, but in summary, they are objects that likely came from the past and future.
Alert, alert. Snapping imminent. I repeat, snapping imminent. Please go to a designated safe zone as soon as possible. Alert, alert. Snapping imminent. I repeat, snapping imminent. Please go to a designated safe zone as soon as possible.
Call disconnected. Reason for snapping event. What? We are still here? Okay. This heat is killing me. As requested, this room is to be prepared for a new archive item. Please make sure that once the item is placed into the room, the door is drilled and stuck into place. Also, it has been requested for the glass to be removed and changed with thick glass that would make it impossible to break or shatter. Let's skip the unimportant parts. So we are back in the room and only the middle phone has a plate. What happens if we use it? Log. Unidentified person. NNS command entered. Removal of person processing. And we have finished the tapes! Do you still remember what happened in VHS tapes 1, 2 or 3? If not, I will give you a brief summary. In VHS Tape 1, we see the mind of the director of the facility where the Gatekeeper works. His mind was gradually corrupted by an entity. We also learned what the director was doing when Natasha Singh died. In VHS Tape 2, we see what the director was doing during the error code 040577, which is an event where the entire Nova Nexus building is destroyed. In VHS Tape 3, we find out what happened after error code 040577 in 2 out of the 5 Nova Nexus locations, which was essentially the structure. Now, let's watch ending 4, the true ending of security booth. We start seeing a red circle and an unknown date. There's something on the computer, and behind the player, there's the same red circle we saw just 10 seconds ago. The background appears to be censored by something like a TV static. The Gatekeeper's cabin and surroundings were completely destroyed. On the computer, there is a game called Rite of Passage, with a very devilish description. Let's play the game. Okay, before we start, this little game has a story, which I'll summarize very quickly. You are one of the warriors of a civilization called Alba. An ancient device was found underneath Alba. Several tests were done on the device, until Renifer and Jill, male and female respectively, unfortunately managed to activate the device, not knowing what would happen. The device opened a path to hell, and within this path, another, more frightening path opened up. Your mission is to destroy the device, which destroyed much of Alba. This part of the game is a maze, where you have to activate levels to find the device. Since it's too long, I'll just say the important parts. The first thing out of the ordinary that happens are the blood trails that you find while playing the maze. Afterwards, some of the doors of the place are open, and with an entity equal to the stranger. Except that, when you advance towards him, the door closes by itself. We found out that Renifer dies when trying to destroy the device. And then we found what I think is the device, but we couldn't get past it, because of 2 tables. So I'm not sure if it's the device or not. Another strong point is that, continuing on the only path we have, we come across a well and a level. When using the level, the game ends, with a screen written "Thou art victorious", which means you are victorious. When we finish the game, The cabin door, which blocked the exit, disappears. Now we have access to the red circle, which is actually a portal. Upon entering the portal, we see the cemetery where all the people from the Nova Nexus incident are located. And when we go talk to the man who looks like the stranger, continuing to the warehouse, we found another portal. However, before entering, it is important to say that there is a black car at the entrance to the cemetery. The same black car that appears in Ending 1, which disappears when you answer the phone. So, most likely, either the player we control is the stranger, or the stranger is the entity that just appeared. When passing through the hole, we see a tomb with blood under it. We also find that we are in the cemetery parking lot. Here I have to skip again the parts that don't matter for the lore, but in short we have to look for 3 nails, which are scattered in the parking lot. While searching, we hear stories about what happened to the victims of the incident. Most are mentally destroyed. Finally, it is discovered that the cemetery is actually located where the incident, which is saw on tape 2, took place. By taking the 3 nails and placing them in the coffin, we gain access to an ID, which we hand over to the Gatekeeper, who then lets the character go to the cemetery. When we enter the warehouse, there's another portal. The portal takes us back to the cemetery, which was different from before, with a trail of blood that leads to a hole, where we find what appears to be a tomb. By jumping into the tomb, we finally reach the ending of security booth. And with each soul you are wigged down, down deeper you go. And with this tricky scene, we are truly done with security booth. Now let's finally get to my theory! My main theory is pretty big, so let's go chronologically. In the Dark Ages, the people of Alba discovered a device below the earth, which, when activated, unfortunately creates a path to hell, where an evil entity comes from and devours part of the civilization. Unfortunately, I don't know what happened after the well part, because when we pull the lever and the chain goes down, the game says we have won. But just before the winning screen appears, we can see that everything starts to shake, as if the place was falling, like an earthquake. Going into the future, between 1950 to 1996, a company named Nova Nexus is founded, focused on science. The company grows and creates 5 facilities. One of the facilities is where the Gatekeeper works. Sadly, I couldn't figure out what the codename of the place is, but possibly Phoenix, Chimera, Siren or Cerberus. Chimera, Siren and Phoenix being codenames for 3 installations that we don't see, and Cerberus a text that appears on the walls of one of the 3 installations, Phoenix, Siren or Chimera. Now, between June and July of 1996, we discovered that a scientist named Andreas Stavas was working on an experiment on Nova Nexus. His boss, the director, starts acting strange a few weeks before the experiment starts. and Andreas starts to get worried because he really wants the experiment to go forward. On any given day in 1996, possibly in July or August, error 050477 happens, which is an incident that kills all employees at Nova Nexus, where we spend most of the game. It is not known exactly what caused the incident to happen. Probably what started it was two reasons: an experiment that escaped from prison and the supposedly no radioactive liquid, which was spread throughout the entire place. Now, as for what the Gatekeeper was doing before the Nova Nexus incident, he was working, obviously, but an entity begins to haunt him, the Stranger. I'm pretty sure the Stranger is the director. I just have no reason to believe he's anyone else. Or maybe it's an entity from hell, but it's very likely not, since in ending 1, the Stranger appears in front of the cabin and he communicates over the phone, where he says they are here, which I'm sure he's referring to the evil that came from the hell. We found out that the Gatekeeper and the Director died as well, probably at the moment that error 0504 started. We can see that the cemetery is the representation of the way to heaven, with all the employees' cars in the parking lot. Even what reinforces my theory is a person inside the car talking that recognizes the player, that is, the Gatekeeper. Besides, you can see the director at the entrance to the cemetery. We also got to see what happened to the employees after they died, as if they could stay on Earth for a moment longer perhaps. All of them were bewildered and mentally destroyed by the incident, and did nothing but show sadness and depression. We found out that Medusa and Kraken stations received consequences. Medusa station was attacked by an unknown entity, while Kraken station suffered a snapping event, which honestly I don't know what it is. At first I thought it was going to be a reboot, but there's no reason why it shouldn't be, as it would break my theory. Maybe it's just a security event, which was triggered when Kraken station was attacked. I don't have enough information to find out. Also, Nova Nexus is possibly a successor. What reinforces my theory is one of the scenes from Ending 4. In it, you can see several screens appear and, pausing for each one, we can see two almost identical screens, one being the Macy played in Ending 4 and another the destruction in Nova Nexus. Finally, regarding the last frames of Ending 4, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's a sword or an intergalactic line, but I haven't found anything to support this theory, other than the items that were found from the past and the future on VHS Tape III. And that's the possible story of Security Booth. Honestly, I never had so much fun making a video. It was really enjoyable to research and delve into the story of this game, which, in my opinion, is very underrated. The game still left a few loose ends. For example, where did the Nova Nexus incident happen? But that doesn't hinder the storytelling experience at all. I really hope you enjoyed this video. It was a massive effort, and I worked hard as to ensure everyone has an incredible video to watch. Please leave a like and subscribe to the channel, because as I mentioned earlier, it was quite a lot of work. If you could help me even more, share it with your friends so that more people can discover the story of Security Booth. If I left any unanswered questions, feel free to leave them in the comments so I can respond. I hope you have a great day or night, and see you soon.